Sveiki dar kartą sugrįžę į Litexpo konferencijų centrą, kur vyksta pirmą dieną login konferencija. Šalia manęs yra vienas šios dienos žvaigždžių, Andy King, jis yra prodiuseris labai garsaus pasaulyje festivalio Fire, kuris yra žymus tuo ironiška, kad jis taip niekada ir neįvyko. Bet visgi nors tai turėjo būti 2017 netgi metais, vis dar kalbame apie tai iki šiol. So hello. I want to ask you about the festival Fire.
Yes.
Many people already heard about it, but maybe somebody still don't know. How can be it is known as the greatest party of all times that never happened? So
Never happened.
How was it and how were you involved in this?
Well, I was brought in 6 weeks out before the music festival was to go on to help save it. And as people in the event and marketing world know, it's very difficult to do anything in 6 weeks, especially something as big as the music festival Fire. So the difficulties obviously were trying to produce a music festival on a small island in the Bahamas with no infrastructure. And it was obviously almost impossible, but we really thought as a team that we could make it happen. But unfortunately at the end, you know what happened.
But you knew the real situation, how bad it is?
It got pretty bad, yes. If you were to think of your biggest nightmare in hosting a beautiful event, everything that could go wrong went wrong. And you know, in thinking of how would you change that in the future, you would hopefully start planning a music festival 1 year in advance and not 6 weeks. And you would make sure that you have the proper sponsorships and also the proper infrastructure in place to make it all happen.
Yeah, and I know the CEO of the company who were organizing this event was sentenced for jail and for 6 years, if I'm right. So did he knew like from the beginning it will end like this? It was like a fraud or it was just failure?
It was never a fraud, really, and never a scam, which a lot of people thought that it was. He honestly felt that it would happen. And I think for Billy, he was able to get so many investors to invest in the festival itself that he had no choice but to keep going the best he could because he owed so much money to so many people. And all social media stars, all these called influencers, they were advertising. So we just didn't know the real situation and they really believed it will be so cool. Absolutely. As you could see, Jerry Media was the media company who handled the social impact piece of the event. They did an incredible job, as you may know, with the orange tiles, and then obviously with all the influencers that were there, swimming on the beach and going out on the boats and eating all the wonderful island food. They did an incredible job marketing the music festival, but unfortunately, they couldn't deliver the product that they promised.
So how many people came to the festival?
We were expecting 3,000 on two weekends, so a total of 6,000. And as you may know from the documentary, we had about 600 kids that we let in. We had to stop all the other jets from flying in because we couldn't handle it.
So what were you saying to these who were coming? Like, don't go further or just try to get what you can?
You know, because the village was not ready, we contacted a resort down the street and I asked them if they would take all the 600 for the day and let them eat what they want, let them drink what they want, go swimming, use boats, do what have you. So we were trying to help give them a good time because we knew that there'd be issues when they arrived at the village.
But we have quite many failed festivals just general in the world. So why this one was so famous? Because it was the biggest promise of all times.
Probably. I think because of the social media aspect of the event, the world was waiting for this amazing, amazing music festival. And, you know, for me, what's interesting now is that I am known as the biggest failure in pop culture today. But I'm also one of the most popular people in pop culture. And the Gen Zs, the Gen Xs, and the Millennials really look up to me as someone who's honest and someone who really tried. I think they describe me often as the only adult in the room when it comes to fire.
Oh, and of course everybody is speaking about this funny story, how you were even prepared to do a blowjob for this man to release the water. So was it a real story or you just faked it to, like, just to make a joke?
It was a real story, absolutely. And I think now, you know, I'm known as the guy who will take one for the team, a big one for the team. But I think in the documentary it was important to demonstrate that's how crazy it got. That's how wild it was trying to produce fire. And that if it came to a point where I had to give one blowjob to the head of customs to fix the festival, that's okay. I was willing to do it.
And now it sounds like for us it's like fun adventure, all this journey. So how it's for you? If you could come back in time, would you repeat all it?
I think I would, yes. The producing of the festival itself was very, very stressful. For months afterwards, you know, it was very difficult. But now I've been given this amazing platform to help push positivity and to help inspire young kids today to work hard, to do the right thing, and to do what they love. So I'm very happy with my situation today. It's a big surprise for me, but we're looking at doing a television show right now. We're looking at doing a lot of pretty big projects that most of the world's going to hear about pretty soon. So it's very exciting.
So for you personally, it was kind of success story?
Pretty much. The irony is that I was running an event business for 25 years, and nobody knows about all my successes. The one thing that everybody knows is my biggest failure. So I try to teach people, how do you take something like that, a big failure, and turn it into something incredibly positive? And that's what I'm doing every day.
So now you speak about it very positively, but how you felt just like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks after it, when everybody's joking about you, I don't know, I would be in depression.
It was very difficult. It was very difficult. I actually left the United States for 6 weeks and tried to wait for things to calm down a little bit so that it would be easier to handle when I got home.
And who offered to do the documentary, even 2 of them? So it was your idea or somebody offered to you and you said, okay, we can share the story more widely?
Chris Smith was our director. Conceptually, it was his baby, the Fire documentary, and he called me and asked if I would participate and asked if I would help him get other people from Fire to participate as well. And I said that I would do it under one condition, that all proceeds, no one would be paid to do the documentary, that everything that we would have been paid would go to helping pay back all the people in the Bahamas that we left without any money. And so we've been pretty successful at this point in paying back a lot of people. We still have a ways to go, but I'm proud to say that the documentary has really, really helped with awareness and helping to pay back everybody in the Bahamas.
So how many you still lack to give back to these people?
There were approximately 400 laborers that need to be paid. It's difficult trying to figure out how to pay them because most of them don't have bank accounts, most of them don't have an address, most of them just came to be laborers each day to help. So it's quite a project that we're up against right now, but we're working at it every day.
And about your personal career, you mentioned you're having TV show now, and I also know you have like ad with Ryan Reynolds and with his company. And about event organizing, how do people now react? Like, no, I won't hire you because we all know about your failure, or we said, maybe it will be cool, you already know everything how it can be.
It's interesting. We get requests every day from people asking me to help them. And I think that when you see the documentary and you understand the situation, you know that it's quite unique. And that what people see, I think mostly, is that in the industry of hosting music festivals and large events, you have to be willing to do almost anything to make them successful. And so it's been very positive for me from that perspective. And I'm enjoying, the process right now of launching a podcast and launching a television show and sort of showing people that, as we say at home, shit happens,
Yeah.
Problems happen, especially with these big events and music festivals. And you need to know how to handle it and what to do. And so I'm hoping that I can help guide people that way.
And you keep in touch with the CEO of a company who's in jail now. How does he feels now?
Billy's in jail right now, and he was texting me up until a couple of months ago, but I'm not in communication with Billy anymore. He did reach out to the press a couple of weeks ago to say that he and Ja Rule were planning the next Fire Festival.
Really?
And about to release a book, and that I, Andy King, was handling everything for him while he was in prison, which is not true. And so we had to do some damage control to tell the rest of the world that I'm not hosting the next Fire Festival, and that I have not been in communication with Billy, and that I wish him all the luck in the world.
So now you know already it's not possible to rescue festival in 6 weeks if it's in so bad situation, yeah?
It's not possible. It could be possible in a major city where you have infrastructure nearby, where you can call big companies and say, I need help with the lighting, I need help with the sound, I need help with catering. And sometimes you can get a quick response when you're in a major metropolis or a major city. But on a remote island in the Bahamas, forget about it. Absolutely not.
And maybe another message we should take from the story, like we shouldn't trust influencers post on social media.
I think that social media is changing now. I think that the influencer world is going to begin to change. I'm hoping to help with that change. I'm really hoping to help drive positivity. I was never part of social media before, and now I've hired a strategist, and we're about to build a pretty big following. And I think that the influencers I want to see are young people doing amazing things today. Those should be the people that will influence the rest of the world.
And to end this conversation, maybe you can say some wish, because you said you want to communicate with a young audience and to give them some advice maybe. So what could it be?
I think one of the things that I want young people to think about today is to follow their hearts and their passions. Don't take a job they don't like. It's nerve-wracking to take jobs with small companies, new companies, startups. But very often, that's where they'll get the biggest reward. And I think that today, it's not necessarily about the money. I think people want to feel good about what they do, and they want to love what they do. And I'm hoping that I can help drive that positive change.
So thank you, it was very interesting. Ačiū visiems žiūrėjusiems. Iki greito kito sugrįžimo.